Welcome to the Private Practice Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Brooklyn Storm, here to help you unlock the mind, business, and spirit of your private practice success. So whether you're just starting out or you're looking to grow, this is the place for you if you really want to create a thriving private practice. Before we dive in, I want to share something that can really make a difference in your business. Imagine having an expert in your pocket, someone available on demand whenever you need guidance. Well, that's exactly what my new program, Practice Momentum, offers. With over 30 years of experience at your fingertips, you can now get the support you need whenever you need it. Curious? Head over to brooklynstorm.com to learn more. Welcome back to another episode of the Private Practice Podcast. Today we're talking all things passive income because it's on my mind at the moment, and a few of my clients in Practice Momentum are asking me about how they can set it up for themselves. And I love talking about this. In fact, it's because of some beautiful souls inside Practice Momentum that I started the Booked and Better subscription. And it's also why I started the Etsy store. So the reason for that is because I think sometimes we think, oh, I'm just going to sell some stuff. I'm going to go make a workbook and I'm just going to go and sell my workbook and it's going to be great. I'm going to get all this passive income coming in and things like that. And I'm just going to throw it up on Etsy, or, I'm going to start this membership over here without really understanding the nuts and bolts of what goes into it. Kind of like, how, I don't know if this was your experience or not too, but my experience with private practice was, well, I'm qualified, so I'm just going to go and do it. I didn't think anything about the business part, and well, you know the story, and that's why I'm a business coach now. So it doesn't happen to any of you. Okay, so passive income. I've just brainstormed a few things that I wanted to talk about before we get started. So what is it? Well, first of all, I call it passive-ish income. And again, you've heard me say that before if you've been a listener for a little while now. And thank you so much for listening, by the way. I call it passive-ish because I don't think it's ever going to be 100% passive. I mean, I think about all the different passive income streams that I've had, and I'll talk you through the ones that worked, the ones that didn't, the lessons, and I'm going to sort of give you the down and dirty so that if this is something that you want to do, you're kind of going to have a little bit of a head start, right? But the reason that I call it passive-ish is because I just don't think it's ever going to be 100% hands-off, and that's just based on experience. So I really thought with passive income that you just make the thing and then all the money just kind of rains down on you from the sky, aka manifestation style, before The Secret, right? Or maybe as a result of The Secret, that book, the movie, Rhonda Byrne. Anywho, what was I going to say? Yeah, what I have realized is, no, that's not what happens. It's usually, or it can be, a case of it's mostly hands off. There are always going to be clients or customers or buyers or members or subscribers or whatever it is that you're selling, that, I don't know, they forget their log on. Or they, like even yesterday, somebody was saying to me, she was very frustrated. She sent me an email and she said, I've been trying to log into your Thrivecart, Brooklyn, and, it keeps asking me for a new password and I keep clicking on forgotten password and it's not sending me any emails, and, I'm done and I want to cancel my subscription, all of this. And I was going back and forth on the email with her, and then actually it turned out that she was using a different email address and that was why she couldn't log in, but it was also, that's where all the links for resetting her password were going to. Anywho, we got it sorted out in the end, but that's what I mean. So that took up about 20 minutes of my time. And I'm sure it was very frustrating for her as well, but that's just an example. So there's always going to be people that say, I can't find a login, I forgot my password, this isn't working, that's not working. There are always going to be, people who you share Google Docs. So a lot of my stuff is shared with a Google Doc. And if people aren't used to a Google Doc, they always click request access instead of just being able to go up to file, make a copy. So you're constantly getting emails from people saying, that they're requesting access access to things. So that's what I mean. It does take time out of your day. So even though it's kind of passive-ish, that's what I'm saying. There's always going to be little bits and pieces there. And then, of course, depending on the type of passive income that you want to set up, and I'll talk you through some of the more popular ones today and the ones that I have experience with. Depending on the type of model that you're setting up, you're going to be working right behind the scenes. And yeah, whatever model you choose, there is going to be content creation. So that's what I mean. It's not always, I don't think anything's fully passive. I think, honestly, if you said to me, what is maybe the least energy, most hands off, I would definitely say it's Etsy. But even then, there's still things that you've got to do, right? So I'll talk you through it. Okay, the first thing is, I think, familiarize yourself with all of the different models. Yes, one of the things that happened to me was I just started with a membership model. And the reason that I did that was because a lady that I was having some coaching from at the time, she was really into membership models, and she was like, yeah, you should definitely do this thing. And so I just did it. So I went and learned how to set up a membership, and it was just based on stuff that, you know, I really liked, and I thought that it was going to go great guns. And anyway, what ended up happening was, well, it was a $7 membership. And what was the first one? I think maybe the first one might have even been PP 101. So Private Practice 101, I think, might have been the first membership. And I was so excited about it. And I, you know, before I opened it, I started selling it, I went and made all this content. So I had loads of content, and it was all like the best stuff because I wanted to, you know, give my best. So I spent such a long time making so much content. I had videos, workbooks, checklists, cheat sheets, swipe files, templates, audios, meditations, you know, like ebooks, like you name it, I had it. And I knew that there was so much good stuff in here that it was enough for somebody to be able to pop in there, get all the trainings, all the resources, and, you know, they'd come out the other end with a not a successful private practice, a private practice that was set up so they would go from not having one at all, maybe they were finishing studying or whatever they were thinking of opening one, but they would come in not having one, they would leave with one set up for success, right? Anyway, and then, yeah, I was told, sell it for $7. We're going to talk about pricing today as well, because I know that's very important. So I was told sell it for $7. Now, that's what I did. And I ended up having, you know, I was checking my metrics this morning before I recorded this podcast. There've been nearly 1,000 members go through that, which is, to me, that feels like a lot. However, there were issues, right? So the issues were, looking back, I think I just made way too much content, because I can look in my dashboard and I can see that barely any of it was consumed. The research shows that when you have something like an online course, for example, on average, you know, for every 100 people that enroll in your course, the data shows about 23% will actually do anything with it. That means logging in and starting to work through some of the materials. And the rate of completion is less than like 3%, which is a surprise. I wish I knew that before I went and made all that content. But anyway, so I think the issue with mine was maybe it felt overwhelming, because in an effort to give them everything that they were going to need, I made a lot of stuff. So I think there was overwhelm factor. But I think my other big issue was that it was $7. So the reason it was $7 was because that was the guidance I was given at the time. My other colleagues were also doing $7 memberships. So colleagues who are digital creators and stuff like that, they were also doing $7 memberships. I mean, they were doing stuff in completely different fields. They were doing it for social media. They were doing it for, you know, VAs. They were doing it for all kinds of things. But I just did that because that was the model, right? And because I didn't know any differently, I just did it. But I think it wasn't right for me because I think it undervalued how effective and how good this membership actually was. And I absolutely believe and know and understand about the concept of higher perceived value. And you've heard me talk about this before as well. And I think what happened was people were like, it's only $7. It must be SH1T. She mustn't know what she's doing. This is going to be, why bother kind of thing. I think there was a lot of that. I think if I had charged $97 a month for it or $147 a month for it, I would have had more uptake. So anyway, but I had that membership for, I think, about 3.5 years. And it did make quite a lot of money, but it was hard money. It was hard money in terms of there was a lot to do. So with that membership, so a membership model essentially or usually means you're going to have, there's a few different types of membership models, but one of them is knowledge-based, and that's what my one was. So it was teaching skills, right? Teaching strategies, teaching skills around private practice, the business side of private practice. But they usually involve a few things. So but usually you would have a community. Great, but that community needs to be managed. So now, instead of being passive income, it's kind of like less passive. You've got to be adding new content regularly to keep engagement, to keep interest, all of that kind of stuff. So again, even less passive. Plus, on top of that, you're going to be dealing with customer service. So there were people, for example, that used to say to me, oh, Brooklyn, they'd send me an email and they'd say, oh, Brooklyn, I haven't accessed my membership stuff. I haven't gone into Thrivecart for the last 6 months, so can you just refund $7 for 6 months, $42 for me, please? Stuff like that. So having to deal with stuff like that, and I think too, because it's your first go at passive income, when you start to get emails like that, you get hurt because you're thinking, gosh, I put all this time and all this effort. It's only $7. She wants her $7 back. And you just want to cry because you feel like, what more can I give? Take my soul. I'm being very dramatic, but you know what I mean? It was like, okay, what am I missing here? What am I not seeing? You'd think if you want to have a membership model for your private practice, there's a couple of tips that I can share with you based on my experience. I think number one, choose the type of membership model that you want to have. Understand that it's going to require a community of some sort, and that's going to take up some time. You're going to, have to manage the community, but also usually, and you get to design it the way that you like, but usually members are expecting that you're going to rock up, right? And you're going to do something for them once a week or once a month or once a fortnight or something like that. So again, not so passive-ish. There will be customer service. You will have to create content, all those kinds of things. I would just say make what they want, number one. I didn't do that. I made what I thought they needed. So this was my lesson. I knew, because I was further along in my journey with business, I could see straight away what the missing piece was. And it was a lack of understanding about the business side of private practice. And so because I knew that's what people really needed in order to help them create the business that's going to flourish and thrive, that's what I made. But they didn't realize they needed that. Okay. What they needed, or what they think they needed, was more clients, more bookings, more money, the secret sauce. That's what they were looking for. Instead of me giving them what they were looking for, I was tapped into my zone of genius over here, and I was like, well, here's what they need. So there was a mismatch. And I think I would have got a lot more uptake if I had listened to what they were wanting and gotten over my own ego and met them where they were. So I would have, instead of calling it PP 101, I would have called it, Clients 101 or something like that, or, Clients for Your Practice. I would have called it that, a name that clearly communicates that I'm giving them the thing that they're wanting. So yeah, naming your membership, very, very important, but creating it around what people are wanting, not what you want to create. It's a big, big thing, right? Because you're so passionate about something. And so that's what it's on your heart to do. Like, I was so passionate about giving them the keys to like business foundations. That's what I went off and did. But as I said, what would have made it more successful is if I actually listened and I made a membership around getting your clients or something, right? Or a membership around social media for PP. Do you see what I'm saying? So it doesn't feel like it lights you up as much. That's the trade-off. But you get the clients and you start to get the member numbers increasing, and with the member numbers increasing, your revenue begins to increase, right? So that's kind of like what I wanted to share with you about a membership model. So I felt like membership model was a lot of effort in terms of the content creation, needing to show up, needing to manage the community, manage customer service, manage payments, manage cancellations. I mean, even yesterday, like I had somebody say, can you cancel my subscription? Now, it clearly says on the receipt, click here to cancel your subscription. In the dashboard, when you go into Thrivecart, it's got on the top right, there's a few little buttons. One of them says click here to manage your payments or manage your subscription or something. But there's always going to be people who are just like reaching out and they want you to do it for them. And that's totally fine. Go ahead and do that. Like, it's not a big problem, but I'm just sharing with you, like, there are going to be things that you have to do. It's not entirely hands off. I think a membership model is of the different types of passive incomes. I think that's probably the one that requires the highest effort. And I don't know that I would do a membership model again. I just don't know that it would work for me anymore. That said, like, if I had to create one, I know I could do it successfully. I just don't want to be doing the time, the effort, the energy, the creating the resources, the blah, 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 blah. No, I'm all about hands off now. Like, I'm 51. I'm ready for hands off. Okay. The other one is subscription, right? Now, I am loving having a subscription as passive income. And the reason why is because it is a lot less effort. With a subscription, people pay to receive something, and it may be a product or a service. For me, it's a product. It's Booked and Better. That's the name of it. And do you see how I learnt from the membership one? And so this time I was like, what do people want? And I know they want clients, they want bookings, and they want their practice to be better in some way, meaning it's giving them back time, they're automating their systems, they're simplifying things, etc., etc. So I named it what they want. I called it Booked and Better. And I'm giving them like leading edge, innovative, fresh tools that no one else in private practice has even thought of. I mean, all the people in Booked and Better are doing some pretty amazing things. They all learned how to create an app for their private practice and are replacing or have replaced their PDF freebie on their website with an app. It is amazing, right? And I teach them how to do all of these really cool things that get their business booked and better. And they get all once a month, they get a resource. It gets to them in a Google Doc. It has templates. It has short video walkthroughs. It's got everything that they need to accomplish some goal that they have in their business. And yeah, so 1 month it was the problem that they were having was they weren't getting inquiries. And so for me, I know, okay, we've got issues here with what's called top of funnel. So top of funnel is people just not being aware of your business. And we also had issues because people who were coming over to the website, who were aware of their business, simply just weren't interested in the freebie. And I think that's a fair assumption to make, considering that nobody was downloading their freebies despite being aware that they were available. So we tackled that by doing the app. The other thing that a bunch of people were struggling with was the discovery calls. So they were doing things like, I guess, and again, it just came down to them having a go at something that they had heard other people do to get clients, but they didn't understand what it is, how to do it, where it's from, how to get those calls converting and things like that. They were doing things like, I don't know, they were talking to clients on the phone for a 15-minute call, but doing the call for 90 minutes and actually making it a free counseling session. And by the end of the call, the client didn't want to, or the potential client didn't want to book. They were like, no, problem solved, but yeah, I'll call back if I need any help. So there was things like that. So I knew I needed to do something that could help them, because they were getting calls booked, but they just weren't converting that many of them. The conversions weren't fantastic. So I also knew that part of the reason was they're very comfortable being in therapist mode, but when it got to the end of the call where they had to do the, okay, let's get you booked in, that was like where they were stumbling and falling over. So I knew that it was around the selling, the pushing, the coercion, the mindset, the this, that, and the other, and not having a framework. So I made them a new way of doing discovery calls. And since I've done that, the people who are implementing that have shared with me that they love it. It's working. It's really made a difference to their practice, and they've now got more bookings. So the reason that I like this subscription model for passive income is because it's a burst of effort for me once a month. So they get the product on the 15th, and usually the week of is when I will sit down, go through my notes, have a little bit of a listen, find out what the issues are at the moment, what's the hot potato, and I will then sit down and create something. And I love it because I get to create innovative things, right? And that's what I want Booked and Better to be known for. I want people to know that it works and that it's very, very innovative. Like, this is a place to come if you've tried all of the other things and they're not working. So it's low effort for me. It takes me probably a good maybe 2 to 3 days solid of sitting down. And that's everything from coming up with the idea, mapping it out, creating the framework for it, writing up the content, putting together the sales page, the checkout page, the email, this, that, and the other. It's all about probably 2 to 3 days, very intensive work where as much as possible, I clear those 2 or 3 days of any other commitments so that I've just got full focus and I just get it done. It's great. I then send it out and then I'm hands off again for another 26 days, but the money keeps coming in, right? And this is the other thing, like with memberships, depending on how you do it, like open and closed, and same with subscriptions, open and closed. People can join at any time with an open subscription or membership. So you get staggered money coming in, and that's really great. And at the end of the month, you can see that staggered money sort of adding up to a few $100s over here, $1,000 over here, all of that. It's really, 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 really great. I love a subscription membership so much. It really, really works for me. When I was just saying there about the closed and open, one of the other things that I learned when I had my memberships was, in the beginning, they were just, you can join anytime. And I did that because I didn't know better. And then when I learned and heard about closed memberships, and I went and studied all the ins and outs of that, I decided I was going to close the doors on all my memberships and then just open them like once or twice a year. That's actually what happens with the Diploma Counsellor Society, come to think of it. That opens twice a year. But anyway, I was quite nervous about closing the doors to my memberships and making them open just once or twice or 3 times, whatever, a year. But it actually worked out really well because I ended up getting a lot more members in quick bursts in short spaces of time, and it gave me amazing cash injections for my business. So I would always recommend doors open, doors close. Even if it's your first membership and you're just starting, I would definitely do doors open, doors close. Another type of passive income is digital products. So this is probably the lowest of efforts. So in terms of how much energy is it going to take, membership to me takes the most, a subscription middle, and then the lowest would be your digital products. Digital products can be basically anything that someone can pay for and receive. They're a tangible good that they purchase online. You purchase it online, right? So for you, it would be something like a workbook, worksheet, checklist, some kind of I don't know, maybe an audio meditation. It could be pre-recorded program or course, things like that, right? They can just come to your website, wherever you're selling the thing, pay the money, and then boom, they've got instant access to the digital product. So they're very, very low effort. You can make them once, never worry about them again. But there are things to be aware of with that, right? So when I do website wellness checks for people, right? One of the questions on the form for that is, are you selling digital products at the moment, and how are you selling them? And they'll go, yes, I am, and I'm selling them on my website. And then they'll say nobody's buying them. And I'll go and have a look at the website, and I've noticed like some big problems. So just to share them with you so that you have context and you can avoid these problems and give yourself a better chance of getting some sales, I'll just go over what they are so that you can, as I said, avoid them. But the first thing is, they may have a page on their practice website that says something along the lines of resources or shop or something like that, which is all fine. Doesn't matter so much what it's called. But then when you go into that, sometimes I have a picture, maybe they won't. The picture is usually the cover of a PDF that they've made. The PDF, or let's call it a journal, right, or a workbook, will have usually a very generic name. That's the second problem, right? So the first problem is they've literally just uploaded the cover of their product. So without, like, I don't know, saying this the wrong way or sounding like it's the wrong way, you can't just do that. And because I haven't seen very many well-designed front covers. And again, I'm not saying that to upset anybody, but you're wanting to know why your things aren't moving. I'm just going to tell you why they're not moving. They're not moving because you don't make them look nice. So you've got some kind of Canva cover on your PDF, and you've just uploaded that cover to your website. That's the first problem. So people buy with their eyes. It needs to look appealing. So if you are, I don't know, maybe you are into like spirituality, right? And intuitive guidance and this kind of stuff, and you've made a workbook about connecting with your inner self and, you know, trusting yourself again and stuff like that, then a great image for you to sell the workbook might be to have something that looks like a photo of the workbook, and around it there might be, I don't know, like a copper water bottle. There might be a succulent. There might be some rose quartz and some amethyst crystals kind of nearby. There might be a rose gold colored pen near it. Do you know what I mean? It would kind of look as if you'd walked into a new agey type shop that was airy and spacious and, right, something like that. So that is going to attract somebody to your product a lot better than just uploading the front page from Canva. So you need to have really good visual. They're called mock-ups. If you need help with mock-ups, I've got free templates you can go and get on my Facebook business page, which is easy to find on Facebook. You just type my name in and it will come up. But you can go there, have a look, go and grab the mock-up templates. So yeah, there's no mock-up. That's why. The other reason is because it hasn't been named well, just like I was talking about with my membership and my subscription there. So what I see on therapy websites is they'll say stuff like the self-care journal, or they'll say stuff like the anxiety workbook. Again, no one's buying it because it doesn't mean anything to them. So you know, because you're in your zone of genius, that your client will experience the outcome that she wants if she takes better care of herself. And so you've made her a tool that will support her to do that. But she doesn't know that or recognize that at the moment. What she's feeling is everything's hard, everything's a struggle, she's exhausted, she's giving her energy away to everyone and anyone, and she doesn't have enough left to even fill her own cup. So when you're trying to sell her a self-care journal, what goes through her mind is she's thinking like, I just don't have time for that. Everybody else is more important than me. So if you changed the title to be what she really wants, so she's probably wanting to figure out how she can find time to look after herself without it meaning that she can't be present for her people. You want to name it something around that. So you might call it, I don't know, like I'm just like doing this totally off the top of my head here, but you might call it something like, how to make time for you without sacrificing time for others, right? And you might have a nice picture under that shows something to do with nurturing or love or relief or like the feeling that she's going to have. Now, that's going to get downloaded more than something that's called self-care workbook or self-care journal. And the other thing too, and I said this, I think it was the last episode, was people see the word self-care and they imagine you're going to talk about the bubble bath and reading and walking mindfully in nature and things like that. And they're thinking, I know that. So they're not thinking that they're going to learn anything new. So you got to give them a title that lets them know this is the thing that's going to get them the thing that they want, or that will help them to get closer to the thing that they want, right? The other reason that if you have a printable audio, whatever it is that you're selling and it's not moving, is because you haven't written sales copy for it. A lot of the time what I see is just, as I said, the cover, it's got a very, generic title. And then underneath it will just have the title again, the price, and then buy now. Instead, what will help you get more sales is if you spend a little bit of time writing some sales copy. And a very easy way to do that is to just follow a very simple framework of, calling out the person, showing them that you see where they are right now, that you know they've probably already tried some things. Show them that you know what they're really wanting, and then show them how this thing that you've got is going to help get them closer to the thing that they're wanting, and then show them how they're going to get it, right? So you might say something like, hey, beautiful soul, if you're anything like me, you probably are just now realizing that you spend 90% of your day running errands and doing things for, all the very special people in your life. And while you love to do that, you're also starting to feel a little bit tired, a little bit frustrated, and maybe even a little bit burned out. You may have noticed that you've started to get a little bit short-tempered or irritable, and that's concerning because that's not who you are, and you don't want to be snapping at your children or your partner or the dog. But I can share with you that in all my years working as a counselor for women with mums with anxiety, that this is really normal what you're experiencing. And I appreciate that perhaps what you're really wanting is just some balance so that you can have some breathing room. But the challenge that comes with that is, how do you find the time when everybody else has these things that they need you for? How do you find that time without taking that time away from someone else and them not getting the thing that they need? It's a very common experience. It's a very common concern that lots of mums in this situation experience, which is exactly why I knew I needed to make this workbook. So this workbook will show you exactly how you can start to reclaim some time in your day without it costing anything for your loved ones, the people around you. They will still get everything that they need from you, but if you follow the process in this workbook, you will also have time where you can just exhale. You can do the things you need to do to call back that really good energy so that you can start sleeping better at night. You can be nicer to be around again. Stop snapping at loved ones, the dog, the partner, and just feel more on top of things rather than at the mercy of things. So if this sounds like it might be something that you're wanting and needing right now, this is your invitation right here to go and click the button below to buy now. When you click that button, it's going to take you to a checkout. As soon as your payment is processed, you're going to get an email with the workbook so that you'll be able to start using it right away. Do you see what I mean? That's sales copy. You need to have something like that for each one of those products. Otherwise, they just don't sell. So making a digital product, it's low effort because once you've made the thing, making a thing takes time, right? I'm not going to lie. Making the thing takes time. But once you've got it, and then you've got your sales stuff around it, so you have a nice checkout page, because once they hit buy now, they're going to go to a sales page, whether that's on another platform or whether it's maybe just a simple checkout page in Stripe, right? Things like that. They're going to go to something like that. You've got to make that thing. But then after that, you've got to make sure that you've got emails in place. So you need to have an email platform. I use Flowdesk, and I pay for that. I'm happy to pay for Flowdesk. I really love it. But some free ones that you might try are MailerLite and MailChimp. But the reason that you need to have that platform there is to automate everything for you, right? To make it even more passive. So this will allow the mum, in this case, to be able to be up at 1 a.m, buy the product. She's going to then be able to go to her Gmail, see a receipt from you, see another email there from you with the workbook in it. She's going to be able to click that, get it. And then, over the course of the next week or so, she's going to get subsequent emails from you. And they're all designed to keep her in your world by building on that relationship, building on that trust, and leading her to the next step that you want her to take, right? So digital products, they can absolutely be standalone, but I think it's a good idea to approach them as, ideally, where do we want this client to end up with our business? And for me, in mine, ideally, I want to end up working with them to help them with their business. So I see my digital products as paid lead magnets. And for that reason, I always make sure that everything is as automated as possible and that there's this email sequence that goes after. And that email sequence is going to support them by saying, here's some free things. Come and listen to the podcast over here. Come and get free things once a week off my Facebook business page over here. Come into my free community if you like. It's over here, and you can connect with other psychologists, counselors, and social workers who are mostly women in private practice or looking to start one. So I'm giving them options along the way, But I'm also saying, well, hey, if you had such a great result with this, then you might also want to go and have a look at this other thing over here because it will pair really nicely. So do you see? That's now when I go onto therapist websites and they've got the thing and I test it, right? Let's say they're selling it for $5. I will go and I will buy it for the $5, and then straight away it opens up on my desktop. They haven't got my email address. I don't get any emails from them. There's nothing. So they're missing out. So anyway, there's some things just to be aware of when you're doing a digital product, and that digital product, just like the membership or the subscription for your passive income, it must solve a problem, okay? And with a digital product, even if you're not selling the digital product, right, just for a moment, get away from passive income, even if it's the freebie on your website, your freebie must be so good that people would have paid money for it. If you look at your freebie honestly, would you pay money for it? Like, let's say you didn't own it. Let's say it was on my website. Let's say it was on my website. Would you come and pay money for it? Yes or no if you saw it? If the answer is no, that's a good thing because you've got awareness now. And so I guess the next question there would be, what would you need to change in order for it to be so good that somebody would have definitely paid money for it? So like yesterday on my, just to give you an example there with freebies and what I'm talking about, yesterday on my Facebook business page, I gave away a freebie. It had within the first hour, it had over 52 requests for the download link. So I know I'm going to leave it on my Facebook business page. I shared it on my personal page and in my community, and I've woken up this morning to more requests for the download link. So when they download it, what I've given them is a mini version of a private practice plan, like private practice business plan. So I can see, because how quickly it's getting gobbled up, I can see that's telling me something. Okay, there are lots of people at the moment in my world that want to start a private practice. That's also been reflected in my Etsy sales. So I've got, 5 or 6 products up at the moment because it's just a new store, as you know, but they're in my Etsy store. The thing that's been selling the most are the Start a Private Practice checklist and the NDI's Essential Forms for Private Practice. So I'm getting the sense in my community that there's a new wave of people joining my world who have been studying and who are, this is just me making educated guesses here, but I'm just thinking it's like end of October. So I'd say it's a new wave of people in my world right now who are probably, as I said, new to me, new to my world, coming towards the end of their study and getting ready to open a private practice. That's what I'm inferring from the downloads and the sales and things like that. But anyway, I use that information because now I can say, okay, if this is the thing at the moment, great, I'll focus on making things for everybody who's starting their private practice right now. So for the next little while, that's what I'll do because I want to support them, but I also want them in my world because I want to be able to help them create that business. So with the freebie, that one from yesterday, the business plan, you would pay for that. Like I could very much go and throw that up on Etsy, and it would make sales easy. In fact, I ended up calling it a mini blueprint because there's a lot more that I could add into it. And so today I'm going to take the mini blueprint and I'm going to go and expand it, and then I'll put that on Etsy later today as the, actual sort of blueprint. So do you know what I mean? That is something that people would have actually paid for. It's high quality. It gets them the results. They are wanting something, right? How do I start my private practice, Brooklyn? I'm saying, well, first thing you need is a plan. Here you go. Here's a plan. Here's a checklist. That's what I'm saying. You got to have something that they want. It's the same with if you want to do like an online course. So lots of counselors, psychologists, and social workers that are like, oh, I probably could do with some more clients. So I'm thinking of cutting back more one-to-one, and I want to go and do, I want to record a course, and, I think that's totally fine. Go and record a course, but follow the process first. Find out not what you want to write a course about. This is the thing. Being a course creator is not about you. It's about them. So listen to your clients. Ask them, hey, if I put together a course, what would be really helpful for you? What would have been really helpful for you when you were back here at that stage, right? Do a little bit. It's research, but just do a little bit of it and then create a course around that. Not what you think they need, around what they're saying they want. I would definitely do that. I would not load it up with bucket loads of content. That was a big mistake on my part. In an effort to make sure everybody had everything, I think I made it overwhelming for a lot of people. In saying that, there were people that did everything and they were great and they got results and that was all awesome. Most people didn't say that they were overwhelmed, but I'm looking at it and I'm thinking that was probably the feeling or the sentiment. They probably thought, oh my gosh, it was just so much. I didn't realize there was so much to do. So I would simplify it. And my approach now to anything, whether it's a membership, a subscription, a digital product, is I'm thinking, okay, people don't have an hour now to sit down and watch you do a training with your PowerPoint or your Canva slides or anything like that. They're not going to sit down for an hour. I try and do bite-sized videos, bite-sized trainings. And instead of great big workbooks and things like that, it's worksheets, everything simple, short. I would rather have bucket loads of, I guess if it's a course, lessons. I'd rather have hundreds of lessons, but have each of them get a quick win on their own than, less lessons, but the content is just way too much. It's going to take up too much time. It's going to take them too long to implement, too long to do. So I would say, instead of thinking, I'm going to make this course and it's going to do this big thing, I would say break it down. Think of the course that you want to make and break it down. In my mind, I see like the pie chart from Trivial Pursuit. I don't know if you ever played that, probably show my age now, but it's like a little, disc, and you get little wedges, and I think it's got 6 or 8 little wedges or something, and each wedge is a different color, represents a different category of trivia. But or you could imagine pizza, a slice of pizza. Let's imagine your course is the pizza. I would say just take a slice of that pizza and turn that slice into a course. And even with that slice, break that down into bites. Make it something that is quick for people to get through so that they do actually get a result. Make sure they get a result from every little lesson, because that's going to keep them engaged. It will keep them coming back. They'll be more likely to finish it. And then when they've moved through the course and they've got that result, they're going to be more likely to come back and do the next course, the next slice of pizza, right? And that's ideally what we want to happen, okay? And that's how you get fantastic reviews, right? People are like, oh my gosh, you've got to go and do this thing over here because it really worked. And look what's happened for me. Like, I can now see my ex at handover without getting butterflies anymore. Like, it's the best. I highly recommend you go and do this person's thing. The other thing too is, I think, be mindful of your energy. Know what you're getting yourself into. As I said, memberships, they took a long time to get set up and put together. The subscription is intense for about 2 or 3 days for me monthly. And then the digital products, they probably take from beginning to end, they can take a morning, like 4 to 5 hours to make. And that is from deciding on what I'm going to make, actually making it. And the making it involves research because, you know me, everything I do, like I want to test, I want to draw on the latest, this, that, and the other. And then I'm also thinking, how can I innovate this so it's got an edge? So it's that. And then once I've got all the content for it, I lay that out, and then I think, okay, this needs branding, this needs design, what are the font pairings, what are the colors, what's this, what's that, what's the best format for it, is it going to be a worksheet, is it going to be audio, is it going to be this, that, or the other. And then I'm thinking, okay, surprise and delight, what can I do that they're not expecting that would make them go, ooh, like that. I want everybody to have a ooh moment. So I think about that, and that takes time. And then I go and make all the mock-ups, then the sales copy, then, you know, I have to go and research keywords, hashtags, titles, all of this, make sure it's all fully optimized, and then go and list it. So it gets listed on Etsy. And then if it's something like my subscription, usually what will happen is people who are not subscribers hear about the product from a subscriber, and then they email me or they send me a message on Messenger, and they're like, oh, you know, one of my friends is in Booked and Better and she got this thing and she said it's really helped her. Can I get it too? But I don't want to have a subscription. So then I have to, you know, go and make the checkout pages. And then once the checkout page is made and set up and tested and things like that, then I also have to go and put that product on my website. And then I have to raise awareness, which usually for me is sharing it on Facebook, and sharing it consistently on Facebook. So there's all this kind of stuff. So that can take, you know, 4 or 5 hours, solid 4 or 5 hours. And I'm not fluffing around. I'm not, you know, taking a half-hour break to like go and recharge some batteries. No, this is me sitting down in hyperfocus in front of the computer. So for you, it may take a little bit longer. In a moment, buddy. Good boy. Come. Good boy. Good boy. Just wait a minute, darling. Yeah. So that's just so you understand, like the selling that's involved. It's got to be sold as well, and that can take some time. In terms of pricing, you know, this is another question that people say, like, oh, how did you come across the price? The price depends on a few things. So I would always say base the price on the value. The value is not the dollars. The value is how quickly is it going to get someone the result that they're wanting. So if my product in Booked and Better for, I don't know, November, let's say, I don't even know what that's going to be yet, but let's say that product got somebody a new client. Well, the last product from the 15th of October was a booking challenge. It was, you know, get your next 5 bookings in the next 5 days or something. That worked. And so people who started using that have been like, oh my gosh, this worked. Yes, I've got clients, I've got bookings. You know, it was so great. So they're in that subscription. They got in as founding members for 27. It's currently 37. But the value is so high that I'm going to put the price up for the membership. It's probably going to end up being 97. And then 147. I'm just thinking if I should put a stepping stone in the middle or not. So I'm not quite sure where I'm sort of sitting with that at the moment. But I feel well justified in being able to do that because it works. And I think if I needed clients and I saw a sales page for a product that had been able to get therapist clients in 5 days, yeah, I'm going to pay 97 for that. It's not even a session fee. I know I'm making that money back. So it's a no-brainer. Yeah, that's really good. And that's why I feel comfortable even selling that product for 147 because it's not even a session fee and they're going to get 5 bookings from it. So they will pay $147, but they're actually going to make nearly $1,000, right? So that's what I mean. Like, your pricing has to reflect the value. I think that's probably the most important thing that I wanted to share with you there. And also around the pricing, just the quicker it can get somebody a result with the least amount of effort, the higher you can price it. If it's going to take somebody like eons to move through it and you're going to drip feed them course material and this, that, and the other, I'll price it low. Otherwise you won't get takers. Or when people do join, they'll get impatient and they'll say, oh, this is just taking forever, and they'll cancel. And then you're going to have something called churn, which is, people leaving, and then you have to go and find new people and stuff like that. I would say for memberships and subscriptions, definitely do beta pricing. You're going to have to launch, be prepared for launching. It's a whole thing. It does require a lot of energy. There's a lot of planning and setup that needs to go into that. And launching looks different for everybody. For me, launching used to be 3-day workshops that used to go for about a week because I would tack on extra days and bonus days and things like that. It took a lot because it was content, it was me showing up, it was live training sessions, then it was live Q&A sessions, this, that, and the other. But it worked, but it was exhausting. I don't do that for my launches now. I've got a different approach. But the other thing too is just like be clear that you're going to need time to launch it. So you can't just say, oh, I've made this course and it's up on my website, but no one's buying it, because people need to know that it's there. And that's why you've got to have a launch phase. Okay. And depending on the dollar amount, the length of the launch phase is going to look different. So, for example, with Booked and Better, the launch phase was, I think, 2 or 3 weeks, and it was pretty low key because it was $27. But if I was doing something that was going to be thousands of dollars, the launch phase would be a lot longer because I'm going to need time to, demonstrate that I know what I'm doing, and for them to feel comfortable and confident and all those kinds of things. So just be mindful, you're going to have to launch it. And it's not just once usually. Often you'll be relaunching, right, throughout the year. So it's a thing. Beta pricing is for founding members. So founding member rate, that's a gift you give to people for supporting you right at the early start of your passive income with this particular thing that you're offering. And while the price might continue to go up, they will always stay on their, in my case, in this situation example, $27, right? So sales pages you need, launch strategy, promo, ongoing selling of it, automations for your emails, your checkouts, landing pages, things like that. Even with Etsy, like Etsy is lowest effort. Once you've spent the 4 or 5 hours making the thing and getting it up onto Etsy, Etsy does push it to your audience, but you need to help it along. And you will see me regularly, like every single week, 3 or 4 days, I'm always sharing it to stories, talking about it differently in different spaces, whatever product that I want to move at the time. So you've got to do that. That's you can't just like throw something up on Etsy and then wait for sales, because that's not how it works. So just understand, all your digital products, you will need to also be supporting Etsy if that's what you're doing. I don't recommend Gumroad. I know some people who put stuff on Gumroad and it just never sells. I'm not that familiar with Gumroad. I just haven't seen it working for people. But again, like maybe they're just not doing their part in terms of selling it. And that happens because you just don't know, right? And then the other thing that, just before we wrap up, that I wanted to touch base on was about how long until you start seeing revenue. Well, you can start seeing revenue straight away. I did with all of mine, started seeing revenue straight away. So, and then it recurs, which is the beauty of it. And what I really, really love about it is that it increases. So, for example, with a membership or a subscription, you're going to have people drop in and drop out all the time. That's normal, right? That's nothing bad. That just it just happens. There are always people joining. There are always people leaving. There are always people becoming a member, not becoming a member, becoming a subscriber, not becoming a subscriber. All of those, right? All good, totally fine. But by and large, recurring revenue increases over time. So while you might do your launch and maybe only 10 people join, instead of saying, oh, it was so bad, I'm embarrassed, only 10 people join, like celebrate those 10 people because they're getting you started and they're your biggest supporters. And if those 10 people are paying you, I don't know, $20 each, that's an extra $200 a month you've got coming into the business that you didn't have before. And that's coming in now on autopilot. And that means it's one less session of face-to-face client work that you need to do, right? So now you want to start to build the subscribers, the members, the sales, all those kinds of things. With my Etsy store, I started selling, it's almost a month. It's just past 3 weeks. On Etsy, it says I've had the shop for a month, but that's not correct. And I've got all my data available in my portal in Practice Momentum. For the ladies, they could go and see that there. But yeah, it's just over 3 weeks and I've almost made $100. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, oh, geez, Brooklyn, well, you did all this stuff and it's been all this effort and it was only $100 and that's not even recurring. It's not recurring revenue, you're right, but it's passive income because I've sold the one product a bunch of times. I've sold another product a couple of times. These products are selling themselves now. They will continue to sell themselves, right? That revenue is going to continue to build and it's going to go from $100. And I think I've only got, I don't know, is it 7? I think I've got 5 products. I don't know. I think I've got 5 products. But yeah, there's $100 in the kitty, right? And get this, buddy, come on, darling, good boy. 92% of that is profit. Now, you just don't hear of businesses running at 92% profit. And it's because it costs you next to nothing to get an Etsy store going. So the other thing is I will be changing the prices on some of my stuff. So when I first put up my products, I have a pricing formula that I use, but I'm thinking, yeah, there are some products in there that could definitely be increased. And so, yeah, they're going to have an increase in the next couple of weeks. And I know that that's not going to affect sales, but it will absolutely improve my bottom line, right? It's not going to stop people buying it because the value's there. So to make money on Etsy, ideally you want to have 500 products in your shop. Now, I did make a big not announcement, but I did make a big declaration in Practice Momentum that like it was on my mind, it was my goal. I wanted to have 500 products up. When did I say? Oh, I think I was like by the end of the year, by the 31st, right? I don't know why I thought I could have achieved that, but this is the thing. Etsy sells by volume, so you've got to have high volume. We don't want to have empty shops. And mine's looking empty because it's very, 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 very new. I haven't uploaded a new product there for over a week now, so I know I'm dropping down in the Etsy rankings. Every time you list a product on Etsy, your store gets a boost for 48 hours. So I want to be like putting up a product like every 2 days so that my store stays boosted and it gets more eyes on it. So yeah, anyway, that's what I wanted to share with you about passive income. You can have recurring or you can sell things like, standalone products that aren't going to bring you recurring necessarily, like the example there of the Etsy store, but lots and lots and lots to consider. And, I love it because once you get these things ticking over, it really does give you breathing space. It means you can worry less about finding clients and filling availability in your diary. It just takes some of the financial pressure away. But it is work creating the things initially. Like anything, it's work initially to get your private practice going, right? It's work initially to, learn how to market your private practice, all the things. But after you get over that initial learning curve, if you can survive that, from there you get into rhythm, and that rhythm makes you more efficient because your proficiency is increasing and improving. And then things just get easier. So, yeah, that's just what I wanted to share. So for those of you who have been considering passive income, whether or not it's memberships, subscriptions, digital products, something else, I just want you to have like a little bit of insight and context for what's included if you haven't done it before. For the different types of approaches so that you can choose one that feels best for you where you're at the moment. But yeah, the other thing, I touched on it just a second ago before I went on a side quest, which was about manage your own energy, right? I didn't realize how much time and energy it was going to take to run membership. It was a lot, and I found it like exhausting. I loved it, but it was tiring. My subscription, it's a burst of energy, very focused energy for 2 or 3 days. I'm happy to give the subscription that. And my digital products, I think they don't take a lot of effort or energy. It's time, because there's a lot of moving parts and you want to get them right. So that's time. And yeah, you've got to like continue with all of it, with selling and everything. So choose the thing that's going to work best for you. As well, I think because of having neurodivergence, memberships probably don't work great for me now because I would feel very resistant knowing I had to be somewhere at a certain time to do a certain thing, like a live or another training or something like that. Whereas with digital products and my subscription, I can make those things when I'm inspired and when the novelty is there, and that's when I get things done the most quickly. So I've got the flexibility around those. So in terms of how I manage my energy, they both work really well. I know I can, when I'm in the zone, I can smash out, 3 or 4 digital products and I can have them up my sleeve ready to go. Versus feeling like I had to be somewhere at a certain time to do the thing and get it up on a certain date. Like, I don't like that. But that's just my own self-awareness now that I didn't have prior to the diagnosis. I am more aware now. So I'm just sharing that because I know some of you are learning about your energy too, and I thought maybe that might be helpful. So anyway, that's that. And yeah, I hope that this is giving you something to think about. I know some of you are taking leave over the break. This might be something that you want to look into or consider. If you ever want to talk about what might be a good passive income idea for your business, reach out. You can email me, you can find me on Facebook. I'm pretty easy to find. You just type my name in and it will come up. Or you can go to my website and there's a contact form there and you can just send me, or there's web chat as well. You can go there and just, let me know that you want to have a quick chat about it, and I can certainly answer any of your questions and help you make a decision about what might be right for you. And if you want, you could get that up and going over your break, so that you could be getting some passive money coming in for the start of the new year. Okay, so yeah, anything's possible. You can totally do it. It's not hard. It's just effort and energy, right? All right, my lovelies. Thanks so much for listening to another episode, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now. And that's a wrap for this episode of the Private Practice Podcast. So as you reflect on today's insights, imagine creating real success in your private practice without going down rabbit holes or exhausting yourself with business activities that don't move the needle. With Practice Momentum, you have push of a button help available on demand. It's like having an expert in your pocket ready to guide you whenever you need it. Visit brooklynstorm.com to discover how Practice Momentum can transform your approach to building a thriving practice. I'm Dr. Brooklyn Storm, and I'll see you next time as we continue exploring the mind, business, and spirit of private practice success.